Okay, so now you know what snowshoes are. You knew how to put them on your feet. You know how to go forwards and backwards. You have an idea of what the benefits and the disadvantages are of trekking poles. Now the last thing is, what do you wear when you go snowshoeing? So I've written a really detailed blog on this, or an article on this, that I'll put in the links of this video. I'll also put it in the blog that references this video. If you want more detailed information, please go there. It has all sorts of stuff that you can check into, that you can read about and learn more about what to wear. But basically, it's like any other athletic, strenuous activity outside. You want to dress in layers. So I typically, when I go out, I will wear a thin, like a wool or a synthetic layer, just a thin base layer. Then I will wear either a vest, like a polar fleece vest, or a polar fleece long sleeve like I have on today, depending on how cold it is out. And then I just wear a windbreaker or a shell. So this, I happen to wear a Gore-Tex shell, just because what I do is I wear my summer rain gear. So I was able to justify spending more money on my summer rain gear by making a dual purpose, by wearing it not only as rain gear in the summer, but also as my hiking wear in the winter. So you just want to make sure that it's breathable, because you will sweat a lot when you go snowshoeing, and you need somewhere for that heat to go. If not, you're going to get really wet. And you'll also see I'm not wearing a big bulky layer, like a big down jacket or anything. Rarely have I ever gotten cold snowshoeing. Maybe sometimes my fingers at first, but other than that, you generate a lot of heat when you're snowshoeing, even if you're just hiking around on level ground. So I would hesitate against wearing a really warm jacket. If you do, make sure you bring a backpack, and once you get warmed up, you can take it off. It's nice to have a warm jacket in your backpack should you stop for lunch or something like that. Then you can throw it on so you don't get chilled as you're having lunch, and then when you get ready to go again, take it off and throw it in your bag. So that's what I wear on top: base layer, a fleece vest or a jacket, and then an outer shell. As far as pants go, I will wear a base layer, like some long underwear, some thin long underwear, and then I wear my Gore-Tex pants that go with my rain jacket. So they're just my rain pants in the summer, and in winter I use them for snowshoeing. It's great because they shed the snow really well. Since they're Gore-Tex, they're waterproof. I can sit down in the snow and not get wet. If I want to build a snow shelter or something like that, I won't get wet. And so they're just great. And once again, dual purpose. Since I don't really wear my rain gear a ton in the summer, I actually wear it more in the winter. And so it's a good way to justify some of these expensive items, is to dual purpose them, wear them in the summer and in the winter. For socks, I usually wear wool socks, and I usually can get by with some thinner ones instead of really thick ones. Like I said, you get really hot when you snowshoe, and if your feet get really wet, then when you stop, your feet are going to get cold. So I try to go thinner rather than thicker. Sometimes if I go for a long period of time, I'll bring a couple pairs, so if one gets really wet or I do find my feet getting cold, I can swap them out. But usually the thin ones are just fine as long as I keep moving. For boots, I wear you want to have some boots that are good for hiking. Those giant Sorel boots, Sorel type boots that you see like a lot of people wear for ice fishing, that are really wide. Those are warm, but they might have issues fitting in a snowshoe binding, because snowshoe bindings are really meant for hiking type footwear, not huge footwear. So just make sure that whatever boots you have fit within the bindings that you have. Some bindings you can get that have accessory straps that are longer, so you can replace the existing straps with longer ones should you have big boots and they don't fit around, but just make sure you check that out. Another thing, you won't be able to see it on the back of this boot really with this gaiter on, but if you could find one that has a little bump back here, some ridges back here to help hold up this heel strap, you would appreciate it, just because if this slips off, you got to stop and deal with cold fingers as you readjust that. So for boots, you just want to have something that's comfortable, with a little higher top to it, so the snow doesn't go down on the inside if you're walking through the snow, and you should be good. Ideally, they would be waterproof, since sometimes you're snowshoeing where it's really slushy And if they're waterproof, then obviously your feet won't get wet from walking in the water. The next thing is some people, like myself, like to wear gaiters. This is a gaiter, this piece here. This is the one I have is Gore-Tex, and I like that because it's dry and breathable. The reason why I wear them is because I like to walk through fresh snow. I like to go bushwhacking. And when you're walking through deep snow, I don't like snow potentially going down inside my boot or getting, you know, my boots super wet or my laces iced up, that sort of stuff. And also I have a history of cramping in my calves. So this keeps my lower legs a little bit warmer, and that seems to help me with some of the calf cramping issues that have plagued me my whole entire adult life. But these are great. You know, they just go, I don't know if you can see, but they go underneath. There's a little strap here that goes underneath the boot. And then there's a little, up here, there's a little hook that hooks onto your shoelaces so that they don't pull up. And then they just Velcro across the front. So these are really great. They come in different heights. I like these ones that come way up. I figure if you're gonna wear them, you might as well have them high so that you keep as dry as possible. All right, we're almost done here. So now we're on to, what do you wear in your hands? So I would go thinner rather than thicker. As I've said several times before, when you go snowshoeing, you're gonna get hot. Rarely do we have anyone that says that they get cold. If they do, it's usually when we first start out, and then after they get pumping a little bit, they're taking stuff off, taking their gloves off, taking their hat off, unzipping their jacket because they're cooking. So I would have a thin pair of gloves on, and then if your hands are cold at first, then either put those thin gloves in your pocket and wear a medium thickness glove, or just put the thin gloves on and wear your other gloves over the top. And then when your hands warm up, you can just take off those outer gloves, stow them away in your backpack or your pockets, and then you're good. You can pull out those thicker pair if you stop to get some food or some water or something, or you're gonna take some pictures, then pull out the warmer gloves. But as you're hiking around, most of the time I think people's hands are really warm. A lot of times I see people walking around without gloves at all because their hands are so warm. So I would at least make sure you bring a thin pair, because undoubtedly you'll want to wear them. As far as hats go, the same concept as gloves. I always wear a thin hat. Usually I wear like a polar fleece hat that's thin, and then I bring a thicker hat, a thicker, warmer hat. Sometimes my thinner hat is, you know, it's usually warm enough once I get going, but if it's really windy out, sometimes the thin hat is too cold, so then I'll switch to my warmer hat. If it's really cold out, sometimes I'll put the warmer hat over the thinner hat, but that's a rarity. You know, even here in Minnesota, that's pretty rare that I have to do that. So at least bring a thin hat, make sure it covers your ears, obviously, and then bring a thicker hat just in case. And then finally, my last recommendation would be always bring a backpack with you. So when you go hiking, you know, you might be shedding clothes. You might want to store those trekking poles that we talked about. You're going to need snacks. You're going to need water. And it's just nice to have a backpack where you can keep it all in one spot, and it's not tied around your waist where it could potentially fall off. You know, it's not, your M&Ms aren't melting in your pocket because you're getting so hot. So I would always recommend, if you have a lightweight backpack, I always bring a day pack with me. It's a great thing to have with, and it's great for storing your stuff or storing somebody else's stuff. Yeah, I guess not everybody in a group, if you go out with a group, not everybody needs to have a backpack. If one person wears it, it's usually enough to kind of store everybody's stuff in. But at least one person should have it. And like I said, make sure that you have some snacks in there, make sure you have water in there, and you should be good to go. Oh, one thing about water. We use these for water. It's just an insulated sleeve that you put over your Nalgene bottle. Sometimes when you're hiking or camping in the winter and it gets really cold, your Nalgene or your water bottle will freeze, and then obviously you can't drink it. So these little simple sleeves, you slide your water bottle in it, you kind of put the insulated cover on and cinch it up. These will keep your water from freezing. I've been in some pretty cold temperatures and they've worked pretty well even in sub-zero temperatures. So these are like, I don't know, 15, 30 bucks. I have seen people make them out of carpet foam remnants. So if you don't care for it to be pretty, that's a good path too. So anyway, make sure you always have water to drink. And if you have any questions about snowshoeing, please send me some comments. I will respond to them as quickly as I can and answer your questions. If you would like to go out with us and you have a group that wants to go out, please get a hold of us. We would love to be your guides. And finally, as I mentioned before, there is a long article that I have created in the past that details more specifics about how to dress for snowshoeing. I also have another article about what to look for when you're buying snowshoes that goes more in detail about the different features of snowshoes. And so I'll post both of those in the notes of this video and also within the notes of the blog. Anyway, thanks for spending your time with me. Have a great day. Let's pray for some snow so we can get outside and hibernate less and explore more. Thanks a lot. See you soon.